Hi guys, my name is Maria Park and this is Approach to Nerd. And in this episode, I am joined by my really good friend Ernie, also known as Blur Without Fear on YouTube. Better subscribe. And we are doing an awesome game today where we're taking one of my favorite Sentais ever, Kaizoku Sentai Gokaiger, and basically recasting it with all Black Power Rangers. So what we're going to do to start this game off is I'm going to have Ernie explain what Gokaiger is for all of you uneducated who do not understand who they are and why are you on my channel. But he's going to tell you what Gokaiger is, what the plot is, and then we'll just move on to our game. So take it away, Blurred.
Okay, so for those who don't know, Kaizoku Sentai Gokaiger is a show that revolves around a cast of initially 5 Rangers who are space pirates who are they're considered outlaws by the Zangyak, which are this evil armada empire of weird-looking, robotic, almost like creatures. And basically, they wind up coming to Earth, and they don't really have any interest in actually saving the planet. They're really just kind of passing by, but despite the fact that they keep up this really, tough guy, kind of Hans. It's a team of Han Solos. And basically they try and pretend like they don't really care about what's going on, but deep down, they really do. But it's cooler because they act like they don't. And there you go.
Yep. And I guess character-wise, too, what I like about the characters, like you said, they don't give a poop, but all of them have, like, to me, it's like a hybrid between, like, Outlaw Star and Cowboy Bebop with a lot of Han Solo-ish qualities, like, tied in. So it's all in one show. And quite frankly, I like anything that's space-themed with pirates. I mean, who doesn't? So... So I think the best way to do our game is as we go down the list, we're going to go by color. And, I'm going to try and go in order of how they actually did it in Japan, how they did their roll call. And then I'll just tell you, like, the character's name in Japan, a little bit about the character, very, very short. And then I'll have Blur just start with why he picked who he picked for the character. So number 1, we have the Red Ranger, which is Captain Marvelous. And Captain Marvelous is an orphan who basically was part of a 3-man like scavenger pirate crew who was betrayed by one of the members. And the other member, who is like Akka Red, is pretty much his version of Zordon. It's his mentor. He's deceased. So everything he does is basically based on what Akka Red told him to do. But he has one of those attitudes that's kind of like, he's kind of like Spike a little bit in Cowboy Bebop. He has this like, why do I have to do this? Why do you think I need to do this? But hey, wait, I want this, so I'm going to go get it, and you can't stop me attitude. So he's a very complex and very, very badass character. So we're going to recast it. So who did you pick from our American counterpart Power Rangers, all Black Rangers? Who did you pick for Marvelous?
I actually picked a guy who is probably one of the few Power Rangers, well, as far as an actor goes, one of the few Power Rangers actors who has had a somewhat successful acting career since leaving Power Rangers. I picked Scott from Power Rangers RPM, who is played by Eka Darville. So yeah, he's got an attitude. I like the guy. He's I don't know, just kind of felt like it fit.
I actually like that. It's a really good thing. So I went to Jack from SPD, and I actually did it because he also had the attitude. He also has the cool hair. And he was a thief when he first started. Before he joined SPD, he had the powers. I think he had the power to make himself invisible, if I remember correctly. It might have been invisible.
I honestly... It's been a while.
It's been a minute. So, yeah. I can't remember if it was speed or invisibility, but I know he used his ability to steal things, but he was actually like Robin Hood, giving to the less advantage. So I just thought that's what Marvelous does. Marvelous would just kind of roll in, steal stuff, take for himself, but he actually had a heart of gold and people didn't realize it. So I thought he was a really good fit.
He also had a really awesome jacket.
He really did. All right. So the next one is hard for me, but I'm curious to see what you did. So this character's name is Joe. Joe is a former Zanyak soldier / like I think he was high up trainer too. He was co-trainer with his trainer, so he would train some of the Zenyak on how to basically pillar and fight. And he's an expert swordsman. He's very stoic, but he has a very, very, very open heart. He just doesn't let you see it, and he has a very smart mouth. So who did you cast as the Blue Ranger, Joe?
So oddly enough, I flipped you.
Uh-oh.
I actually picked Jack from SPD.
What?
I picked because it was one of those things where with Jack, and one of the things I do remember about SPD is that Jack was always like, yeah, for a Red Ranger, for a leader of a team, he was kind of a goob, but at the same time, I also kind of felt like he did also kind of have that same that kind of mentality that Joe would also have at the same time, where he could just be like when it was time to get serious, Jack was serious, and that's kind of what I was looking at there. And of course, I think that I forget the actor's name, but I think he would actually I think he'd look good in blue.
Okay. So yeah, color coordination is good. Skin tone.
Yeah, and he could also rock the. So what I'm saying, his locks have actually gotten longer since then, and I feel like he'd be able to rock that look that Joe had. So I'd be here for it.
Yeah, I can see that. Well, yeah, I didn't think about the hair part in Joe, but you got it. You do have a point. You had that long ponytail.
He had a ridiculously long ponytail.
Very, very. So I did not flip. I actually went with somebody who had very little personality. I chose Kevin from from Power Ranger Samurai because of the fact that, number one, he had the stoic thing. He acted like he didn't care half the time. He was extremely obsessed with swordsmanship and being a samurai. I mean, to the point where it was annoying. And I love Joe, but Joe has that same thing. His swordsmanship, he judges everybody by how strong they are. So that, and potentially their baking skills. That's a whole other conversation.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I thought Kevin would fill that role, and I could see him and Jack getting into it. And that's kind of what Marvelous and Joe, they have a brotherly, like brother love. Sometimes not really hate, but they love to.
They have a bromance.
They have a bromance.
They have a bromance.
Like
I could if Gokaiger came out today. And not to say that people aren't doing this already, but I have seen more than my fair share of what's it called, slash fiction. About Joe and Captain Marvelous.
I have to. I've also seen it with Luca and I'm, which is kind of funny.
Yeah, no, I've seen it. I've seen it with both of them, and it's. Yeah.
As a queer person, I even that kind of weirds me out a little bit, just because I don't see it. They're more like brothers.
That's how I romantic
there. But yeah, okay, so yeah, that was mine. Was Kevin? So
I actually did almost pick Kevin, but I was like, nah. I like
really?
that. Yeah, I almost did.
No, I mean Jack's cool. I didn't think about the hair though. So like, okay, I got it. I might have to rethink some stuff. Okay, so our next one, we're going in order, is going to be the Yellow Ranger Luca. And Luca basically she is money hungry, but she basically is that way because she comes from a planet where all the children were left destitute. They were starving to death. And it almost seemed like she was the only, not really adult, but at the time, teenager, taking care of all of these like orphan children by herself. So it drove her to want to get money to save them all. And so, but her attitude, if you were to talk to her, she's more sarcastic than anybody else on the team. She has a short fuse, so
yes.
But we love her, and she's a very, very, very skilled and double swordsman. So for that one, the Yellow Ranger, who did you pick?
For this one, I actually picked Katie from Time Force.
Wow.
Which is we actually talked about this off camera when there weren't any hot mics around. And I said I wasn't really even overly fond of Katie as a character because she was kind of one note. She always came off as the angry black woman stereotype, and I hate when Hollywood does that with black actresses. But honestly, that attitude, if you kind of dialed it down a bit and maybe put a little more earnestness behind it, I feel like it actually would perfectly fit Luca. Not only that, when you're playing that character, on that show was depicted as, or that character was depicted on the show as, being super strong, which would kind of
Yeah.
fall in line with that kind of power mentality, that kind of like, tough, strong, take no crap, take no prisoners attitude, that Luca always, kind of exhibited. And yeah, I could see it working. I could actually I
Yeah.
could if you could just twist it around and bend it a little bit, I could very easily see that transition.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that. I can see that.
Mm-hmm.
I actually went with Tanya.
Oh.
And the reason I went with Tanya, if you remember the Zeo saga when they were going to get their crystals and they were turning
Mm-hmm.
into shit, she came
I
from a
try not
village.
to.
I know. But Tanya came from a village where her parents were missing, and she was raised as an orphan, and she had to fend for herself, so she was very guarded.
Mm-hmm.
So I went by that, and plus Tanya is just a badass character. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
she went from not really knowing how to fight to being one of the strongest fighters on the team by the
Yeah.
time we got to Turbo. So, and she always was with the boys. Like, instead of her hanging out with Catherine, she was out training with Adam and with the other boys. So I thought she'd be a really, really cool Luca. Plus, she does not refrain from saying what she wants to say, and that is
Mm-hmm.
definitely a Luca trait. So
Oh
I
yeah.
thought Tanya would be awesome as Luca.
Which I find funny considering the fact that the actresses who play Tanya and Catherine, they are always around each other.
Yeah,
It's very funny. It's very
that's
funny.
extremely funny.
It's like
Yeah,
life is not imitating art here.
at all.
But yeah, no, Tanya was another one that I almost picked. But I actually picked her for my all-star team. But yeah,
And I will let you know what I will let you name your all-star team before before this
oh
is
no,
over.
I'll save. I'm saving it for a video. Saving it for a video. That's what
Okay.
I do.
Okay. So now we're coming to the one that I had trouble with, but I think I might have gotten. But I think I still
Okay,
have.
let's see what happens. Let's see what happens.
So this is Don Daguerre, also known as Doc. Doc he supposedly has amnesia. We really don't know. By the end of the season, we don't know if he has amnesia or not. He thinks he's a legendary warrior that fought a dragon and lost his memory. But for the team, he is the cook. He is the mechanic, the scientist. I mean, I think he's even the doctor. That man has many hats. But when he fights, he's ridiculous. He's just ridiculous. Like his poses are ridiculous. Half the time when he's posing, he's grabbing his crotch. He didn't even realize it till the end of the season where he makes a comment about it. But he is a mess. But we love him. Who did you pick for the Green Ranger?
Because he's a bit of a goober, and just his he's always except for when another character comes on later, he's for the most part played for laughs. He doesn't really have that many serious arcs throughout Gokaiger. But I actually went with a character from a show that, oddly enough, I don't like, and also adapts the very same material, and that is Noah. Noah is my pick for. There's another character. I believe it was Damon. I almost picked because he kind of fills that kind of all around role, but I actually decided to go with Noah just because I kind of feel like, I mean, yeah, he is Black Billy on Megaforce, but at the same time, I kind of felt like of all the characters on Megaforce and Super Megaforce, I felt like he was the only one that actually had any merit, and I don't know. I felt like it had having nothing to do with the character he plays in that show, but I felt like he would be like the guy, I forget his name, but the guy who plays him, I feel like he would be a better. I don't know. I feel like he would be able to portray that type of a character, like just kind of an overall goofball with a weird fighting style that almost kind of comes off as though like he's accidentally beating people. Because that's kind of what it looks like. If you go back and watch any episode of Gokaiger where Doc is fighting the Zangyak Armada, any of the bads, whatever, it almost looks like he doesn't know how to fight.
or shoot guns. He's always like,
Yeah, but it's one of those things. It's almost kind of like it's like he's pretending to be inept. He kind of reminds me of like yeah, we talked about Cowboy Bebop earlier. He reminds me of Andy
yeah,
from Cowboy Bebop, the episode Cowboy Funk.
I know exactly what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
it's like he's beating the crap out of Spike, but it's not because he's actually good. He's actually doing it on accident. And that's what it
Yeah,
looks like Doc is doing, but that's actually not the case. He is a skilled fighter. It just doesn't
yeah.
look like it.
He doesn't have the confidence that the other ones have, so that's
Right.
why. I mean, I get it. You got Marvelous over here and Joe. I wouldn't have confidence either,
I mean,
but
yeah, I wouldn't want to play second fiddle to either one of those.
I wouldn't either. But no, man, that's a really good choice. Mine's a little interesting. I chose Ethan from Dino Thunder
Oh.
because Ethan, number one, mechanical, very good with
Mhm.
computers, but also he gets very like cowardly. Like, when they're talking about, not really cowardly, but he's the one that has the most hesitation to go do things, basically. Like when they say, oh, we're going to fight, he's like, why are we going down this road? Why are we going in the basement? Why are we, you know what I mean? He was the cautious one.
He was the voice of reason. Yeah, he
really
yeah.
was. And that's pretty much what Doc does. What, like when they're getting ready, are we going to get back on the ship? I'm like, why aren't we leaving? Like, I thought Ethan would be awesome. Plus, I love that his brain was brilliant. And plus, he also can fight when he wants to fight. He just doesn't want to fight most of the time.
No, that's very fair. That is incredibly fair.
Yeah. So I think I thought that was a really good, choice. But yeah, I did like your choice too. I like both of these lists actually. I would not like either of these shows. Okay, so now we're coming to the Pink Ranger. So I'm Daphne is a princess. She's prim and proper and polite. She puts the honorifics behind everyone's names. Her planet was destroyed by a general, I think it's a general's bodyguard in the Zanyak. And she saw her parents burn in front of her, and she wanted to become a Gokaiger to get her name on a wanted poster because she wanted her people that survived her planet to see that she was still alive and was fighting, for them. And giving them hope, basically, which is she's a very sweet, cute, complex character. Who did you cast for the Pink Ranger?
You know what? This one was kind of tough because, I mean, if we're being brutally honest, not very many, if any, of the Rangers that are black, that the female the actresses who have played Power Rangers throughout history, none of them have really fit that mold exactly.
Nope.
And I thought about it, and honestly, every other character just kind of came off sounding more like Luca than anything else. And even the few black actresses who have been Pink Rangers, for that matter. And I wound up just breaking down and picking another Yellow Ranger, and that is Aisha. And the reason why is because if you really go back and pay attention to the transition of power from, switching from Trini to Aisha, and when Aisha came onto the show, Aisha was nothing like Trini, at all. Like, Aisha came off as more of a Pink Ranger, because her and Kimberly, they were into the same things. They were all about shopping and, going to the mall and checking out boys. And, it was one of those, and granted, it was the 90s, so that was kind of a stereotypical female trope, like a teenage female trope. It's like, oh, let's go to the mall and chase boys. And, ooh, there's a sale. Right. Ooh, let's go get our hair and nails and our feet done. That was a very, and it's still a trope to this day. But, I'm not saying that's how women actually act. It's just that that's just a thing that Hollywood's always done with those types of characters.
Now it's like, girl, I got a coupon. Let's go.
Yeah. So, but when you go back and look at it, Aisha was I honestly, I say to this day, Aisha is the closest thing to the, if you wanted to judge all Pink Rangers by the same archetype, that usually the Pink Ranger is, I don't want to say the girly girl of the group, but she's usually the Yellow Ranger is the one who's the rough and tumble one.
The tomboyish.
Right. The Pink Ranger is almost always, with the exception of a couple, is typically they're just a more princessy type. I don't like using that word, but that's the only thing that comes to mind right now. And
they're more of the girly girl.
Yeah, because
more feminine
Yeah.
than Power Rangers. Yeah.
Like originally I actually wanted to pick was it Shelby? But Shelby is more she acts more like a Yellow Ranger than a Pink Ranger, and she was a Pink Ranger. So I was like it has to be Aisha. She's the closest I can see to actually fitting that I'm mentality. Like I could see her being that type of caring, nurturing, because that's kind of what she was. She was a nurturer. She even though Kimberly was the like one of the OGs, Aisha kind of became a mother hen.
Yeah.
In the group.
She was also a trendsetter because she had braids on the show, and that was the first time anybody actually went out and did anything fashionable. And she would change her hairstyles up, and yeah, oh yeah, she was. I will give you that. Yeah.
Yeah. What do you got?
Shelby. And the reason that I did that is I kept thinking, okay, you are absolutely right. She does have more of a Yellow Ranger mentality. But she had a huge crush on the Red Ranger, and she acted like a 2-year-old whenever he was around. And she was like, "Oh, let me fix my hair." And so she had that whole prince. There was even an episode where she dressed up as a princess unwillingly because he was the prince. Just so she would look good to dress to him. So like I had that. Plus the actress in real life is very princessy. So I thought, if I could find the actress with the character, she is extremely princessy in real life. So
that I actually originally had her. Like I said, I originally had her down as my pick, and then like just kind of when I sat down and thought about it, I was like, nah.
No, I agree. Aisha actually more feminine than Shelby is. I was like trying to rack my brain. I'm like, who else could? Because I mean, Aisha also is a very strong character. Like just like Tanya, she learned to fight with all of these guys who are martial artists, and she was out there holding her own.
Oh, yeah.
And she was like an inch shorter than Kimberly, and she was like a power, like she said, strength of the bear. That girl wasn't playing. So like I would consider her as a powerhouse, so not a princess. But I could see the femininity side because she was one of the more feminine Power Rangers on the show.
Oh yeah.
Not really feminine. I'm gonna go out there and say there's only 2 other characters I can think of right now that were more feminine, because even Catherine really wasn't that feminine to me.
No, she was.
She had some grace because she was like a ballerina, and she was extremely tall for a Pink Ranger. She was the tallest Pink Ranger. She was even like taller than some of the Red Rangers.
I think they actually did in some cases kind of do like camera perspective to make her look shorter than Jason and Tommy.
Yeah, she was, I think, 5'10", I think, in real life. That was pretty tall. So yeah, she's very graceful, but she didn't have the cutesy femininity thing that most Pink Rangers have.
No, I didn't feel that. I didn't feel that she had that.
Yeah. So yeah, I think Aisha probably was one of the top 3 that actually were cutesy. If we're going to go by female Ranger standpoint, just straight up tomboys. But yeah, so we got Shelby. Now here comes the hard one. This is the hardest flipping one in all of them. Flipping Guy, the Silver Ranger of Gokaiger. He is the only Terran. He was born on Earth. He is a fanboy, an otaku, a geki, you name it. He is like out of control. He gets so excited whenever he meets another Sentai member. He has a flippin' autograph like book on standby. I don't know where he keeps it, but on standby. He is hyper. He talks like a mile a minute. The guy is hard. So who did you cast for the Silver Ranger?
Okay, so this one was a tough one because usually when you think about 6 Rangers, you always think about Tommy. Tommy kind of exemplified, the 6th Ranger. And even if you go outside of Power Rangers, you just go to Super Sentai in general, you think about Burai. Like, Burai is the epitome of a 6th Ranger. I mean, he kind of popularized it. Now, but that said, Guy, he's not a tough guy. He's not like the stereotypical, ooh, I appear out of nowhere from the shadows and I am a badass and I
probably would say that out loud.
Yeah, he would say it out loud, but we all know he's a goob. So I had to pick someone who was a goober. And or even not, I won't say like a goober, but like maybe a more jokes or like a jokey, maybe less serious character. So the only one that really came to mind, at least of characters that I could stomach, was Damon. Damon from Lost Galaxy.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
yeah,
okay.
I mean he wasn't like, I mean he wasn't like a complete and total goob the way that guy is, but I mean he was probably one of the more lighthearted of the characters in the bunch, because that season was, I don't want to say it wasn't like grimdark or anything, but it wasn't the most uplifting thing I'd ever watched.
Well, it wasn't, and they had to do a lot of character changes because I think the Pink Ranger was diagnosed with leukemia, the original
Yes.
one, and that's why they
Mm-hmm.
moved on to Andros' sister.
Mm-hmm.
But
Which
yeah,
I
so
was
that
fine with. I was fine with.
yeah, I was fine with that.
I liked the arc. It was a good
Yeah,
arc. But yeah, just I don't know. I just kind of felt like, yeah, of those, I feel like he would probably, from a personality standpoint of the character that he portrayed, I felt like he would probably be the best suited to kind of be that. But maybe I wouldn't have him be a complete and total, like, because Guy is a goober upon, like, on levels bordering upon embarrassing. It's not really until he transforms and he kind of owns you know, his awesomeness and how like cool he is. He becomes this like way more interesting version of himself, which, you know, he's living his dream and becoming you know, what
what
is
he's always
essentially,
admired.
yeah, what he's always admired, yeah.
Yeah,
And in this case, I would still let him, you know, yeah, of course, you let him be a fanboy, but like, you know, I would tone back kind of the 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 overall silliness of it, because, well, for one, that type of humor doesn't really translate to American sensibilities. Like
no.
that, like it's one of those few areas between Japanese culture and American culture that I just don't think works over here. It works over there, but not
Well,
over
only
here.
for anime cons.
Well,
I've met
well, when
anime
you're
fans.
surrounded, well, that's when you're
Yeah,
surrounded by a bunch of weebs. But it's a bunch of weebs who wish they were Japanese.
yeah,
Yeah, that's fine there.
yeah,
But I'm talking about like just in a room of just everyday average Joe normal people. No, doesn't
yeah,
work.
yeah. It doesn't. It translates as you're on Ritalin too much, I guess.
Yeah, like
Um,
like weebs would be able to identify with that type of character if, you know, that was a 1-to-1 translation, but everybody else would just be like, who's this guy?
yeah,
Whose
yeah. I
man's is
agree with
this? Whose man's is this?
I mean, I mean, Damon seems like a good choice. I don't know why I didn't think about him. Because I guess for me, he was always like the serious mechanic type.
Mm.
So like, I guess that I don't know, because I got somebody completely on crack, and
Okay,
that
what
is
you got?
Max. I got Max from Wild Force,
Oh Lord.
the Blue Star Ranger. He is hyperactive, immature. You know, just I mean, to me, if I had to have a guy, if I had to pick somebody out of this pool, that's Max. I mean, you look at him in relation to the people we picked, even with your team right now,
Mm.
and you throw him in as meeting this team, that's Guy.
Oh no, I could see it. I could actually see it. I could see it.
I could see how you should look at him like, what
Like,
the hell wrong with this guy?
whose man's? Whose man's is this?
What is happening? And that's kind of the reaction they had when they met Guy. So I mean, it kind of works.
That is
And
true. I didn't even think about him. I didn't even think about him.
Max and Ethan's banter together would be Don, Doc, and you know, Guy. That would totally.
Well, because they actually have an arc. Like they have a really good arc, as, you know, the once Guy is introduced to the team, and
Yeah.
you know, Doc kind of feels like his place is being taken. He feels like, oh,
Yep.
well, Guy's just taking over, and it becomes this, I could see that. I could see that.
Yep. And then you've got everybody's doting on Max and saying, "Oh, you're such a great little fighter." And then you could have Ethan like, "Well, I fixed all the computers in here." I could totally see that in my head. So I just felt like that would really work out. So yeah, I got Max from Wild Force. So that is what I have. Bloop, it's gone. Those are my picks. I liked your picks.
I
want
liked yours too.
You like mine?
I liked your picks.
Yeah, we need to come up with another one because this was fun. But I want to know what you guys think. Do you like what we picked? Do you have your own picks? I know it's slim pickings because we're going for Power Rangers, especially black actors, and there really weren't a lot to like swap around. But hey, if you liked what we did, leave us a comment below. If not, leave a comment below anyway.
And if you want to know why we didn't put Zach on the team, you can totally leave a comment for that too.
Yeah. That'll be a longer answer.
Yes. No,
Yeah,
no
check out
shade at Walter Jones though.
no, we like Walter Jones. It's just it's Zach. But check out Blur Without Fear's channel. I will leave a link in the description box. And if you have not signed up for Jury Duty, please hit the subscribe button. If you like to know who's next on Nerd Bell, hit the notification bell. And until next time, I can't wait for you guys to approach the nerd. Bye, guys. Thank you for watching my video. I really appreciate it. But hey, the party doesn't have to stop now. Click on one of these videos and keep it going.